Hello to all the brave crew of Deep Dive. I'm the captain, and I'm glad we're gathered once again for another deep dive into the great unknown. We humans always seem to be standing on a knife's edge. On one side, the dream of building a paradise on Earth. On the other, the nightmare of destroying everything. But what if I told you that the biggest question defining our future isn't nuclear, war, or climate change, but a choice between three completely different paths? By the end of this video, you'll not only know these three paths, but you'll understand how our ultimate destiny might be to save planet Earth itself, using a method straight out of the greatest science fiction stories. Let's start with a strange fact. We live in a period of history where the pace of change is unlike anything ever seen in the history of life. It feels as if the future is a coin tossed in the air, and no one knows which side it will land on, utopia or apocalypse. This feeling of uncertainty, this hidden anxiety, is everywhere. The media is filled with alarming news, and many think we are heading towards inevitable catastrophe. But beneath this rampant pessimism, there's evidence that humanity can not only survive the coming centuries, but thrive in a way we can barely imagine today. Our future has only three paths: collapse, plateau, or transcendence. Which one will we choose? To answer that question, we must first have the courage to stare into the darkest possible future. Mankind is no stranger to catastrophe. Our ancestors survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, and deadly plagues, bouncing back stronger each time. But today, our biggest threat no longer comes from the natural world, it comes from ourselves. Since the dawn of nuclear weapons, the threat of self-destruction has dwarfed all others. By some estimates, the risk of causing our own extinction is over 300 times higher than extinction by natural causes. The four horsemen of the modern apocalypse are these: nuclear war, climate change, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence. Imagining the worst-case scenario for each is bone-chilling. The soot from a large-scale nuclear war could cool global temperatures by nearly 10 degrees and wipe out up to 63% of the population. There are currently nearly 10,000 nuclear warheads in existence. On the other hand, we are on track to heat the Earth by around 2.7 degrees by 2100, which could displace over 1 billion people. But in the worst case, we could trigger CO2 tipping points and cause up to 12 degrees of warming in the coming centuries. Biotechnology has the potential to solve crises like food scarcity and disease, but it could also give small groups of people the power to cause a global disaster. For example, the release of a designer pathogen could have an even higher death toll than a global nuclear war. But the hardest and most unknown risk stems from AI. It's the first threat we face that we may not be able to outsmart. AI could become a powerful ally, or it could ultimately outcompete us for the world's resources and push humanity into obscurity. Navigating this new landscape of risks will be the biggest challenge we have yet faced. But wait, here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Despite all these terrifying risks, our total extinction is not as simple as you might think. In fact, we humans may be one of the hardest species on Earth to kill off. Why? Because of our sheer numbers and broad geographical distribution. We inhabit every corner of the Earth, from desert to tundra. Remote islands could act as natural quarantines in the event of a global disaster. Even if 99.9% of humans were eliminated in some catastrophe, 8 million of us would remain, more than the entire human population for most of our history. And most importantly, we no longer rely on the glacial pace of natural selection to adapt. We use technology to adapt thousands of times faster than any other species in the history of life. So the real question isn't whether a catastrophe can kill millions of us. The question is, how resilient is our civilization? How big of a hit can we take and keep going? The Black Death of 1347 killed up to half the population of Europe, and 1/10 of the global population, but even this did not derail human progress. Just 200 years later, the scientific revolution happened. If we took a proportional hit today, our global economy would collapse. But as long as our infrastructure and knowledge remained, we could still rebound. The real danger is a collapse so deep that it extinguishes global industry and pushes us back to hunter-gatherer lifestyles. In that case, the Earth could only support 10 million of us. If the remaining population is too small, we might never be able to rebuild civilization. Extinction would mean the end. The end of music, poetry, art, and love in our corner of the galaxy, possibly in the entire universe. But we have plans to prevent this disaster too. In Norway, there is a global seed vault holding over 1 million seed specimens from 4,000 plant species. This could be a critical resource for rebuilding civilization. But there's an even better place to build such a vault: the moon. Some have proposed creating lunar arks to store genetic samples in lava tubes beneath the moon's surface. There, they would be safe from any earthly disaster. However, the best way to secure our long-term survival is to take the leap that no other life form has ever taken: become a multi-planetary species. Once a self-sustaining civilization is established on another planet, the chances of our extinction will plummet. This is the greatest life insurance policy we can buy for our species. So, we've navigated the scenario of collapse. What's the second path? Plateau, a state where we avert collapse but hit an upper limit of progress, remaining in a static condition forever. But a plateau, at best, is a temporary state. In the short term, exponential changes in technology and Earth's climate will force civilization into new directions. And on larger timescales, the cosmos won't wait for us. In the next few 100,000 years, we are due to face supervolcano eruptions and a new ice age. Even if we burn every ounce of fossil fuels, the glaciers will have their revenge, and mile-thick sheets of ice will steamroll huge swaths of North America and Europe. And about 1 billion years from now, the sun will become so hot that photosynthesis on Earth will stop, and the oceans will slowly boil away, snuffing out all life on our planet. Modern civilization will not survive these events without a deep transformation. Perhaps we'll decide to let nature run its course on Earth and move to off-world habitats. Imagine giant circular megastructures that could house over 1 billion people. These structures could provide 3 million square kilometers of land, as much as India or Argentina, and their rotation would generate enough gravity to hold their own atmosphere. And this brings us to the third path: transcendence. A future where humanity reaches its full potential. A future where our current powers would appear godlike. Despite all the dangers we face, utopian futures are well within reach, and perhaps sooner than we think. Since the Industrial Revolution, technological progress has been radically improving the human condition. Worldwide quality of life is at an all-time high. We don't see these trends clearly because our brains have a negativity bias, making us pay extra attention to negative information. But the forward momentum is undeniable. The costs of solar and wind energy are falling faster than expert predictions, often making them cheaper than fossil fuels. At the same time, converging advancements in AI and biotech are pointing toward a radical enhancement of human well-being. Projects like AlphaFold are discovering the structures of pathogens and treatments for cancer far faster than humans ever could. There are over 10,000 diseases caused by single gene mutations, and tools like CRISPR have the potential to cure all of them. These upward trends are multiplying the human potential many times over. We are now the healthiest, wealthiest, freest, most educated, most advanced population of humans to ever exist. If these trends hold, we could gain the power to regenerate limbs, eliminate all disease, and possibly extend our lifespans indefinitely. Achieving these breakthroughs will require technological leaps that the human mind alone cannot make. But already, NASA has begun to use AI to design mission hardware that outperforms human designs by a factor of 3. We are witnessing the beginning of an intelligence explosion. This could lead to an artificial superintelligence that far exceeds human capabilities, able to solve complex problems that have defied humanity. Aligning this intelligence with human values will be a huge and novel challenge, but it will be a vital step. If we can safely harness the power of AI for human betterment, then we can paint a utopian future our ancestors could hardly fathom. A future free of disease and hunger, where biotechnology has stabilized the climate and biodiversity, where abundant clean energy is developed in concert with AI, where humans have traveled to distant planets and moons, and new tools for artistic expression open new frontiers of beauty and experience. And all of this could be just the prologue to an even grander future. If our energy use continues its exponential growth, we could eventually control more energy than the Earth itself receives, becoming a Type 1 civilization. A recent study shows this could occur as soon as the year 2371, and by maintaining just 3% yearly growth, we would reach Type 2 in just a few thousand years, able to control all the energy from the sun. If our species survives until the death of the sun in 5 billion years, it could lead to the existence of some 600 quadrillion people. And by colonizing space, vastly more could come into existence. Something like 100,000 trillion people in the Milky Way alone. The farther we spread into space and time, the more different we will become. It's possible that we will splinter into multiple species. Some may choose to merge with our machines into a new hybrid species. Others may choose to remain fully biological. This would mark the first time since the Neanderthals that more than one human-like species walked the Earth. And if we ever digitize our consciousness, human identity could branch into an infinite number of varieties. As we grow into new, more powerful forms, we will eventually have to confront a profound question: what is our ultimate purpose in the universe? We could aim for the lofty goal of colonizing the entire galaxy, becoming a Type 3 civilization, and reordering the Milky Way to our own designs. But these far-off dreams are not for us to realize. They are for our distant descendants, evolved far beyond their human roots. Perhaps humanity's ultimate goal should be a more personal one: to save the Earth, the little rocky planet where it all began. By pulling Earth away from the expanding sun, we could prolong the game of life by billions of years. This could be done by building a giant conductive counterweight on the far side of the moon. The process would take millions of years, but it would be a truly worthy goal, to offset the destruction we have caused and keep life flourishing for eons more. A final act of redemption for humanity. The path ahead of us is filled with great dangers, but if we can navigate them, we have the potential to see a vast new branch of life emerge, one that could outgrow Earth itself and spread across the universe. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey, dear crew. If there's one lesson our history can teach us, it's this: never underestimate the human race. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss our next voyages. Until the next dive, take care of yourselves. We love you guys. Maybe the next time you look up at the night sky, you'll remember that we are not just inhabitants of this world, but the architects of its future.